If you want to start and grow a YouTube channel or any other social media platform that involves video, then you're going to have to learn how to edit videos yourself. Unless you've got deep pockets and a good budget to pay people to do it for you from day one, which is unlikely because it's not cheap. I won't lie, editing videos can be really overwhelming. You waste time, you get stuck, and you never publish. And if you never publish, you never grow that channel. I've been there myself, and after several years of trial and error and absolute chaos, I've created this 7-step editing process that works for me around my busy life. So I can publish videos even whilst maintaining responsibilities like day job, family commitments, and all of the fun things. So if you're short on time but serious about YouTube, then this is the video for you. Let's dive straight in and take a look at exactly what you need to do. Okay, this isn't quite step one, this is just the setup. So I'm going to show you how to do this in an application called Filmora. I recommend Filmora for anyone learning video editing because it's affordable, it's got loads of features, and it's quite beginner friendly. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. None of the video editing tools out there are. Now, if you prefer to use a different one, that's fine. This 7-step process is still going to be the same. It's still relevant no matter what you're using. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to show you what I know, and I'm going to show you Filmora. So on this Filmora splash screen, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to choose what video type it is that you want to edit. Now you've got the aspect ratio here, so if it's a shorts video in vertical format, choose 9:16. If it's a YouTube widescreen format, choose 16:9, and then click on New Project. So step one is the import. What we want to do is take our files from our phone or from our camera and put them onto our computer and laptop so that we can use them in here. Now once they're on your computer, there's 2 ways that we can get them into here. You can actually just go and use Windows Explorer. So let's find this as an example. Let's take these files and you can just click and drag them in. The other way you could have done it is click on Import Media, find the files that you're going to be editing and import them. That gives us our project media. Our project media, the way to think of this is for this specific video. There's also a global media. Global media in Filmora means things that you use multiple times. So if I created another 10 videos, I may want something that I don't have to keep importing. They're always there. It's basically like a default. So no matter what video I create, them options are there if I want them. So I've got a few things in global media like icons like this big red X and a couple of like animations and backgrounds and so on. So step one is just about getting your files into this. Now, I'll very, very quickly just show you what this looks like because video editing applications are daunting. There are buttons galore and it's a little bit overwhelming. The main things to focus on here with Filmora is that you've got this layout. Let me just pause that. This is the preview, this is the player. So if you click on a file on here, it'll play. If you once I show you when to put clips in your timeline, that's what you'll see here. This is how you can see that you're doing the right things. This on the right hand side is a properties window. This at the bottom is a timeline. You can see the numbers there. So that shows 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 and so on. We can go out on that timeline so that we can see minutes rather than seconds, or we can zoom in. But generally you'll tend to work at kind of this 5-second repeat mark. Then in Filmora at the top, you've got various different options here on this kind of main menu, and we're going to go into that in the other steps. So step one is the edit or the chop. Now I'm going to take this clip and I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it into my timeline. I'm just going to ignore this. This is basically saying that the clip was recorded in a different format, but I want to keep the project settings. So now what you'll see is this clip is highlighted. It's got this white box around it, which means I've now got this properties box on the right hand side. You can change the layout if you wish. If you click on view and layout mode, just as an example, if you were working on short videos like vertical videos, this layout probably works better. It's just a little bit more efficient in how it uses the space. But I tend to use it on default. And this is the timeline. You can have multiple layers. So this is a video layer if you like. So this says video 1. If we wanted to create another one, we just click on this little box here and add video track. And it's exactly the same for audio. So this video track now, if we dragged this second video in, the way to always understand these is whichever one is at the top is the one that is going to show. As an example, let's say you're looking down at something and there's multiple layers. Let's say it's a cake. You're looking from top to bottom, you're looking down at a cake. Where this red line is our timeline. So if that timeline is there, then the very first layer it can see is video 2. So it will show video 2 and you won't be able to see what's on video 1 if they're both the same size because it's hidden behind video 2. I don't know if that makes sense. Whereas if we put the timeline here, this red line, you can see video 2 hasn't quite started yet. So that will show video 1 because that's its clearest path to video 1. I hope that makes sense, but if not, just please let me know. Now, for now, let's get rid of this. We'll come back to kind of multiple layers. For now, let's just focus on the basics. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hover over this line in between the 2 video layers. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it because I like this bit to be a little bit bigger so I can see what I'm doing. The second thing I'm going to do is, do you see this like bright green line? And underneath you've got these like little mountains, if you like. That's your audio. So this is my voice. It shows when my voice goes up, when it gets louder, and it'll show when my voice goes down. So these almost flat lines is when I'm not talking. This is one of the best ways you will learn to edit your videos fast, by looking and reading these lines, because I can tell you now, if I click and drag that timeline across, if you see this bit, that is too short. So that is going to be me starting to say something, then stopping, or coughing, burping, farting, whatever. So if I kind of click on this timeline and drag it, you'll see there, I start to say something, you can see it in the preview, and then I forget my own words, and then I go and look at my phone to try and look at my script and see what it was I was supposed to say. So I already know that I don't need that part in my video. I know that's a mistake. So I'll come on to that in a second. Now what I'll do sometimes is I'll click on this line and just drag it up just to increase the volume. And by increasing the volume, as long as you get it to a height, you don't want any of these mountain bits. You don't want them really to go over the line. But by increasing that, it's just a bit more visible. Now the other way you could do that is by clicking on this clip. On the right hand side in your properties, just go to audio and you've got a volume there. You can click and drag that and it'll do exactly the same thing. So that's just changing the volume of the clip. Now, again, going back to this, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this entire video. We're going to press play and we're going to go along, and every time we get a mistake, we're going to cut that mistake out. Now, the way we do that is we cut before the mistake happens and after the mistake happens. And we put what's called a split at each point, and then we delete the part in the middle. So just as an example, you can see the start of this, there's no audio. And if I press play on that, it's just me trying to get positioned correctly on the thing and having a look at my script. So I know that if I drag that across all the way to here, where this first mountain starts, and you can see I'm about to start speaking, we can split that there. Now I could click on this pair of scissors, I could click on this pair of scissors, or what I do is I use the letter S on the keyboard because I find using the keyboard is the fastest way of doing it. So the letter S is split. Now I've just pressed it and you can see there, it's split that now, so we've now got 2 clips. It basically put a cut right down the middle. Now that clip is rubbish, don't need it. It's not doing anything, it won't be in the video, so we can delete it. Now again, you can delete it with the little bin. I could probably right click and click delete. That's all too slow. So I just have the letter D. The letter D on the keyboard deletes. So I have S for split, D for delete. Conveniently both next to each other. I've got my left hand on S and D, and I just work my way through the video. So as an example, let's get to this bit. I would press play. That was the end of that little part that I was saying. So now I would either just click and move that slight timeline thing to get it more precise, but I would now press S and put a split. I would then move across to the next bit. If you ever wished. Now you can see that was a mistake, so I know that's going to get deleted. Move to the next bit. If you ever wished that you could create eye-catching YouTube thumbnails. Again, it's surprisingly hard to actually just communicate to a camera. I'm in my 40s and I struggle to just speak, as you can see here. So that's a mistake. Now I know the next bit is actually right because I've already seen this clip. So I'm going to drag this across to where this next bit starts. And then I'm just going to put another split. this clip, we split it at the end of that one. We know that's a mistake. We know that's a mistake, and we've split it again. So this one, press delete or D, and we can delete it, and off it goes. And I just work through the timeline. Sometimes you don't even need to press play. You know it's going to be a mistake. Other times, just press play. It's just like the big YouTube creators. So find the bits that you don't need, press S, or press the scissors, split it, and then delete it. So if I wanted to remove that gap, I've split that part, I'm going to split that part, and then I'm going to press D on the highlighted bit. It'll always delete the bit that's highlighted. I'll just quickly whiz through these ones. I'm not even going to press play. I'll just assume that the audio peaks are kind of showing me the clip of what bit's right and what bit's wrong. And again, so S, D, gone. So by the end of it, you're going to end up with your timeline looking a bit like this, where you've got multiple clips. Do you see how each time I click on one, it highlights that one? So the thing to be careful with is if you double click on one of these, it'll jump to that clip. Anything you change in the properties is only going to affect that clip. If I change the volume there, do you see it's only changing the volume on that one clip? So that is just something to be really wary of. Make sure that whatever you're changing, if it's something you want to change across every clip, make sure that you either click and highlight them all and then change them all. Don't just change something on one clip unless you mean to. So that's probably the most complex part. I'm hoping you're not sat there scratching your head, but basically what I'm trying to tell you is once you've got familiar with a video editor, and you only do that with practice, so don't worry, but once you've got familiar with how it looks and what it looks like, step one is to work through your media and split and delete all the bits out of it so that you've got one clip then that looks like what will form the basis of your video. Now, I'm already doubting myself on whether I said that was step one or step two. Step one was the import, step two is the cut, step three is the blend. Now, when I say blend, what I mean is how we're going to go from one clip to another. Because what you'll see here is you'll see that your facial expression, your hands, everything kind of jumps a little bit. So there's ways that we can make that neater. But you see here, we're almost on where one clip goes to the next. So if I just press play, it kind of jumps back and changes, if you like. So there's different things we can do here. We can do something called a jump cut. And you've got to think of the step three, the blend, is just about making it look a little bit smoother. So a jump cut, if I click on this clip, a jump cut is where it sometimes kind of like zooms in and then zooms out. You can tell that there's a noticeable kind of jump to the next clip, if that makes any sense. So if I just click on video on here, this scale thing here is basically how big the video is. So if I click and zoom in there, you can see, I'll just leave it as that as an example, it's very exaggerated. But if I hover the timeline over this initial part, that looks more normal. And then as we go to the next clip, it suddenly dives in and you've got an extreme close-up. And then as we come off that clip, it's going to dive back out because we only changed that one clip. So basically, the jump cut is when you put a tiny little bit of zoom in. Now, there's more advanced ways of doing this, but that's not what this video is about. So I'm just going to show you the basics. So this one, if we press play,
if you ever wished that you could create eye-catching,
it was a bit juddery there, but let me show you again. If we press play, it should jump in.
if you ever wished that you could create eye-catching,
See how it jumped in? And then what it'll do is when you get towards the end of this clip, it'll jump back out.
YouTube creators, if you ever wished that you could create eye-catching.
Did that make sense? So sometimes a lot of YouTube creators and video creators will create these jump cuts where it just goes in and then comes back out, and it's just to distinguish between the clips. It's up to you if you want to use them. Some people like them, some people hate them. Now, another way we could do that is a transition, but I would only use a transition when you're going from one completely different scene to another. If it's just you talking, you don't really want to transition to go to the next part of your sentence. But if you was going from you talking to a different video entirely, then you could use a transition. Now, Filmora has these at the top. So if we go to transitions, Filmora has absolutely hundreds of these, and some of them you can only get if you actually pay for this monthly subscription. I don't bother. I don't really see the benefit in having it. So I just use basic transitions. One of which, if I go to favorites and then fade. Fade is probably the most common transition. So if I click on that fade transition and then drag it into my timeline, you see that black window that's appeared? So that's telling me where do you want to put this. If I let go of it there, it'll put it just at the end of that clip. If I put it there, it's overlapping the two clips. So that's going to transition from one clip to another. So if I let go, it's put this little box in. Now you can make that transition longer or shorter. So if you want it to be a really slow fade, you can extend it. And if I just scroll across on this timeline, you'll see how it's going darker and darker and darker. It fades to black and then it fades back in again. Now that's why you wouldn't do it on like a talking head video like that. That's quite long as well. So if this was going to a completely different scene, I would add it and I would have it just quite quick there. And it fades to black and then fades back in. So think of it like you're watching TV. A lot of the time they'll use these fade transitions. But there's loads of different types that you can have. You've got these fast swipe ones as well. I quite like them. So again, if I drag that out just to show you. Right, so I'm just going to go over here and I'm just going to drag this along. And then what you'll tend to find is the fast one. It should come up, see like that. It just comes up like a real blur, like it's swiping from one video to another. So quite fast. The other thing you can add is B-roll. Now B-roll is almost like your second level of footage, if you like. So our A-roll is this video of me talking is the A-roll. B-roll is, let's say for example that we cut to a scene. What am I talking about in this video? So maybe I'm talking about frogs. Then the B-roll could be like a little video of a frog. So it's just a different video clip that you can focus on and watch. That just makes the video a little bit more kind of interesting and a little bit more variety in that video. Now, again, you can download these off the internet. Wherever you get your videos or photos from, that's up to you. And you import them into your media in the same way. Now, Filmora is pretty good in that they also have all this stock media where they do a lot of that for you as well. So I'm just going to click on search here and let's use the frog example. Right, now my only problem with this is it looks like, you see these little diamonds? That means that you've got to have a subscription. So it looks like Filmora makes you have that subscription for almost everything, which is a bit rubbish. Let's click on partners and Pexels. Now I know, if we just click confirm, Pexels has lots of free videos you can use. So let's just load this up and let's just do a search for a frog. That's going to go and have a quick look for some frog videos. Let's use this one. So I'm just going to click on download. That's downloaded to my computer. I'm now going to go back to media like we did in the other step. Import media, downloads, and there's my frog video. So I'm just going to import that. Now B-roll. Do you remember when I said before that if there's a clip, it will always show the topmost clip? So we're going to take that video of a frog. We're going to click and we're going to drag it, but I'm not going to put it over me, on top of me there, sorry, because that'll mess our video up. I'm going to put it on the layer above. And again, keep project settings. So you can see now that frog video is on the layer above. So if I move the timeline here, that's nowhere near the frog and you can see me. If I move the timeline here, now you can see the frog. When it catches up. Now you can see the frog even though it's over me. You'll still hear me, you'll still hear my audio, but you can see the frog. The only way that wouldn't work was if this video layer was hidden, which you can do with this little I button. So if we hide that video layer, anything that's on that layer the entire way across will then hide. So let's unhide it again so you can see it. Now let's say I don't want that video clip to be that long. We can trim that down. Now you can either trim it by doing what you did before, by splitting it and deleting it, or if you hover over the very edge of it and then click and then drag it, we can make it shorter. So now this is what we call B-roll, and sometimes it's a really good way to hide where you've put them cuts. So instead of having them jumps or instead of it being noticeable that my face and hands change, sometimes you can hide it and you can use whatever you want for your B-roll, but sometimes you can hide it with some convenient B-roll. So what we'll do, let's just press play and see what happens. So watch this preview.
Wish that you could create eye-catching YouTube thumbnails just like the big YouTube creators. Have you ever wished that you could create eye-catching thumbnails just like the big YouTube?
So did you see that? This clip's rubbish, by the way. I've got the same, do you know what, let's delete it. I've left the same clip in. So we'll just change that. So what happens there is it got to this bit, then it jumped, excuse the pun, it jumped to the frog. And then where these clips change, where we would have had that jump cut, you can't see that happen because it's underneath the frog layer. And then the frog disappears and it's back to me. So that's a clever way of using B-roll to hide them cuts and just make it a little bit of a smoother flow. Step 4 is graphics. Now graphics can be a mixture of images, effects and titles. It's just something that's graphical that's going to just add, again, a little bit of interest or explanation to your videos. I'm going to show you how to do this. Again, super easy. Now let's just go to the start of this video. What we could do is have some text that comes up and says my name, as like just to say this is John Davis's video. If you click on titles, once again, we've got absolutely tons in here. If you click on title effects, you've got tons in here. Filmora, again, are going to try and push you to subscribe. All these ones with diamonds are ones that they want you to pay for. There is a lot that you can do anyway for free. But if you want a monthly subscription, by all means, go for it. There are some really good effects. You do get a lot for your money. I just never have felt the need. So in here, there's actually just, I've already got some favorites, but some of them, as an example, you've got lower thirds. So let's just try, what have we got? Let's just drag this one in. So a lower third is what usually comes up at the bottom of the screen, you know, that introduces like a title or a person or something. So again, I'm going to drag that and I'm just going to drop it there. You'll see this is like an animated one. So if I drag that across, it like kind of pings out and then goes back again. Now, if again, we want to make this shorter, you click on the right hand side and you just drag it and change it to length. As I'm doing that, you can see the duration. So that's at now 4 seconds. So we would add it there. Then we double click on it. Once we double click on it, and if we've got text at the top here, if we click on text on the properties, that's now going to let us change what's in there. So I'm just going to change that and I'm just going to add my name because I'm vain like that. Now you can see that's out of line as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add my name and then I'm just going to drag it across. Them blue lines that were coming up there is just showing where it's lined up. And again, I'm going to move it up slightly as well. You can once you've got it selected, you can use left, right, up, down on your keypad if it's easier. So I'm just going to put that there. I should explain as well, that little thing that I just pressed then, this little play sign with a circle around it, what that does is that almost puts your video into like its memory so that you can play it back and you won't get this choppy stop start. It lets you visualize it, but every time if you make loads of changes to your video, you'll have to rerun that. It kind of renders it into the memory, if you like. So if we press play here, you can see there that our text then came up. And like I say, you can go into this text. You've got different presets, different styles. You can change the fonts, you can change the position, you can change the size, the color. You can put a shadow on it. There's absolutely tons of things. I think I've just accidentally done something as well. There you go. There's absolutely tons of different options that you've got around the text. It's for you to kind of mess around with really and find what you like the most. But there's tons and tons and tons of paid and also free different like titles or lower thirds or different ones that you can add in as well. And working in exactly the same way, you've then got also things like graphics. So if you've got a picture that you want to bring that you've maybe created in Canva, again, you can import it into your media. I'll use one that I've used before. So let's use that cross, for example. And again, you drag it into your timeline, change how long you want it to show for. And then you would click on it and you change the size. You can use the properties if you want, or you can click on this bit and just drag it around. You can add some animation. So you've got this animation tab on the side. I've got this X selected and I'm on animation. So you can fade in, fade out. But there's also some old animations that I quite like. I like this boom one. So that will kind of pop up and like boom onto the screen. And then it'll disappear again. The second that you get to the end of that clip, it disappears again. So you can add images, you can add text, you can add animations. I'll go back to that title actually. So it already had an animation on, but if you created one without animation, Again, animations there. You've got all of these different animations that you can add, like typewriter, for example. And what that'll do, I mean, that didn't really look like a typewriter, but it was supposed to be. That one does. If you double click on the actual animation, it'll preview it for you as well. And if you want to take it off again, just click none. If you want to make it faster, just decrease that duration. If you want it to do an animation on the way in or the way out, then you can also add a different animation to go out. And if you want it to be constantly doing something while it's there, like wobbling around, then you can set a loop like that one, for example. So that's going to kind of bounce around and do that sway for as long as it's on the screen. Looks silly, so we'll turn it off. Also, from a graphic point of view with Filmora, you've got effects. Effects aren't graphics as such, they're like video effects. Just as an example, let's use this chromatic aberration. And again, you can see there's so many. There's like heartbeats, there's glitches, there's blurs. There's loads of really good ones, but if I just put this chromatic aberration, this is more advanced stuff, but I'm just showing you because it might be something you want to mess around with. So that's added that chromatic aberration effect in here. So it's going to make your eyes go a bit funny, but you can see there what it's going to do. If you see the preview, anytime you double click on the preview, it'll show you. But now if I press play.
5 simple design hacks to anyone, even the most artistically challenged.
So I quite like using that effect in like short doses. I won't put it on a massive clip like that. If you wanted to fine tune that, once you've got your clip selected where you've dropped it, if you click on effects on your properties, and then you've got different ones here. So you've got like fade, and this will be like the strength of it and opacity. So if you press play then it'll be a bit weaker. So it's a little bit more subtle, and you can turn it off there or delete it. So I've just turned it off. So effects are really good. And stickers are just like a little fun thing, if you like. They're like little animated graphics. So let's just say, as an example, we drag that sticker in, and again, we're putting it on the top layer so that it shows. That's too big, but let's just drag that, make it a little bit smaller, and then we'll reposition it in the corner here. And again, I'm just going to press play. In fact, I'm not going to press play. I'll just drag this across. So you can see there, it's like an animated light bulb going off, and then it fades, and then it goes off again. So you could do that like because someone's had an idea, if you like. So these are like little animated stickers. One other thing I'm going to show you, because we're talking about the visuals and the graphics in this one, is I'm just going to show you captions as well. So if we select this clip here, and somewhere along here, you're going to have to help me find it, there's a captions button, speech to text. So if you click that, what that's going to do, that's going to go away and either look at the clip that we selected, or you can tell it to look at the entire timeline if you wish. And it's going to say what language it's in, and it's going to put captions on there. Now, just be aware, this does take credits. It is a credit-based system. I've got 2,900 credits. I don't remember how I've got them. I've never bought them, but I have them. And by clicking this, it's going to use 4 of them. So some people use their captions in different applications. They'll create their video in Filmora or their video editing software. Then afterwards, they'll go in and put their full video through like a caption generator. But you can do it in Filmora if you wish. And like I say, it does add some kind of graphics to the list if you like. So that's finished. You can see here, it's added this clip, and we only chose that one. So it's added to this text here, where it's going to translate what I say, and it's going to create these captions. Again, if you want, you can change the font. You've got presets in here, so you can change the presets if you wish, if you just want to do it easy. You can customize it, you can change the colors, you can change the blur, the outline. There's loads of different things you can do in here. Put the animation on it. If, for example, it didn't translate it very well, it didn't understand your accent, then you can go in here and you can edit the words as well. So anything you change in here, it's a little bit like a text-based editor, like using Microsoft Word or something. You can change what it's actually in there, so correct any mistakes it's made, and then save it. I'm not going to save it, I'm going to get rid of it. I don't tend to use captions that often, but you can do it in there if you wish. Now I'm just going to delete that because I don't like it. So that covers most of the graphic options. There is far more to it than that. There's loads that you can do with Filmora, but I don't think you need to know them yet. I would focus on the basics of adding titles, stickers, effects if you wish, and maybe even some images. That's the basics. You don't need to know any more than that. Next up is audio. So audio, we've already got the audio of our video here, but we do have audio tracks and we can create more audio tracks. Now where this is useful is if you want to add music or sound effects. So again, if you source your music from a different third party, by all means get your music, download it and import it into your project media. If you want to use Filmora's, they've got this audio tab here, and again they've got loads of music. They've actually got a pretty cool feature where you can even generate AI music, so there's no risk of copyright here because this is just going to make this music up as you go along. So this has just got some of the ones that they've created, so I'm not even going to listen. I'm just going to show you how to do it exactly the same as we've done before. So we're going to click on the music here, drag it into the timeline, and you want to put it on an audio track there. Now you can see that audio track is quite long. So again, we reduce it, we click, we drag it, and it's now the length of the video. You might not want it the length of the video, you might just want it for that one bit there. And then you might want another song here. So you can import as many as you want. And again, we can either reduce that or we can, remember the old highlight it, press S, and then delete the end bit. So it's up to you. So you can change the length of them. Now, you can already tell by the like the mountains on that you're not even going to hear me speak because that's going to absolutely blast over it. So I would also decrease the volume so it's just nice background music. Again, you can click on this and click on audio and volume, or you can just click when it goes into a hand and it's on that line, you can click and just drag it down. Click and just drag it down. So that's really low volume audio now. Let's just press play there. There you go. I don't know if you could hear that, but it just faintly played in the background. Now, do you see how your timeline starts looking more complex? We've now got an audio layer. We've got the main layer. We've got a B-roll layer with like graphics and some video in there as well. And all of a sudden, your video starts building up. So this is why we started by doing that split and chop, just to keep it simple. Then we add all the things that we want in afterwards, the animations, the graphics, the transitions where it fades, the music, the stickers, the effects. It's all comes in afterwards. And before you know it, you've actually learned far more than you realised. Now, whilst we're on the topic of audio, the other thing you can do is exactly the same way as music. You've got sound effects. So what we could have done is we've moved that, in fact, let's delete that clip there. When we had that big red X come up, you could do like a buzzer noise. I mean, I don't know if there's any on here, but let's just have a look. There you go. So what we could do is we could drag that buzzer noise in, and if I just drag this, you can see there, we're over where the red X, where that comes up, and I get this green line come down the screen. When that green line appears, that's telling me that that is in line with that red X. So I can drop it there knowing that the two will happen at the same time. So let's just try it.
YouTube creators without having to become a Photoshop ninja.
There you go. So it helps you kind of match them up and sync them up in terms of the times. So that's a way that you can add sound effects, and exactly the same way as before, you can change the volume just so that it doesn't kind of overbear what you're saying on there as well. Now, step 6 is the review and final edits. I would always make sure you get to the end of your video, and editing is not fun for most people. It's not quick, it does take time, especially when you're first getting started. So by the end of it, you might be absolutely knackered. Sometimes it's better to go and have a night's sleep, walk away and look at it with a fresh set of eyes because you might have spent 3 hours doing the same thing. Once you then open it and you want to do your final edit and review, go to the start, press this render button. Make sure that everything's rendered so that you can just watch it neatly. And what you're going to do is I know this is going to sound painful, you're going to watch your own video and you're going to check that you're happy with it. So we're just going to go into the video, we've rendered it, and you can either watch it in this preview or you can press that button and make it full screen, and you're going to press play.
I wish that you could create eye-catching YouTube thumbnails just like the big creators can.
There you go, painful. Let's minimise that back down. So entirely up to you, but you're going to watch that video from start to finish. You're going to review it. Any mistakes that you see, anything that's not in the right place, anything where you've perhaps said the same thing twice, just correct it. You do that exactly like we've just looked at. You do it by splitting bits out. You do it by shrinking the clips from the edge, by adding B-roll, by adding different effects or text or whatever it is that you want. Often the hardest part of video editing is just making sure things happen at the right time. So synchronizing things and making sure that they line up. But if you remember, as you move through this timeline, wherever that red line is, that is the point on your timeline where this is. So everything that's underneath that it dissects, that it cuts through, it's cutting through that frog, it's cutting through that clip of me talking, and it's also got some music. So all them things are happening at the same time, and it's just, you can only see certain parts, if that makes any sense. When you're done and you're happy, you then want to export it. Top right hand corner, you've got this export button. And then chances are you're going to save it to your computer before then uploading it to YouTube. So you name your video. So I was going to name this frog. You choose the location of where you want to save it. You want to add your resolution. So I'm just going to keep this 1920 HD. And then format MP4 and then press export. Now, depending on how long the video is and how good your computer is, that might take a different amount of time. But press export. Once it's done, open that location, watch your video, check that you're happy with it, and then just publish it. So I'm going to recap over them 7 steps because I said a lot there and I don't want this to be overwhelming. There's so much more I can go into, and I'm more than happy to if you let me know what part you struggle with. But them 7 steps, import all of your media. That's number 1. Number 2 is to do the split. This is the most important part. Work through your video without any of the added stuff. Just split it and get it looking and sounding like you want it to sound. Step 3 is the blend, the transitions, the jump cuts, and just adding a little bit of a better movement between each clip. Step 4 is the graphics. This is adding on all the nice stuff, all the B-roll, the graphics, the titles, all of the little finesse stuff that's going to make it look a bit more professional. Step 5 is the audio. So depending on whether you want music, that's like Marmite. Some people love it, some people hate it. But sound effects and anything kind of audio-wise you want to add, that's when you do it. Step 6 is to review it, do the final edits, make sure that you've looked at it. Step 7 is to export it, share it, and hopefully grow your YouTube channel or whatever platform it is that you're trying to grow. And step 8 is a bonus step where you subscribe to my channel. I'm going to show you more videos like this and other tools that are good for video creators. So I'll see you on the next one. Good luck.